Okay, I've set the main and the jib up so that they're a little flatter, less curvature, they won't catch quite as much air. And I've let out on the sheet so that the main won't come in quite so far, and that too will help it catch a little bit less air. We have a lot more air than we can use in these high wind conditions. Now you can consider raking the mast forward to reduce weather helm in the wind, but in another sense it will make little difference, and here's why. When the boat is heeled, the drag acts down here on the hull, whereas the drive acts nearly a foot away up on the sails, and the result is it tends to turn the boat into the wind. This is true no matter what sort of mast rake you have. The soundtrack from the field had too much wind noise, so I added this in later. Sorry about the lack of lip sync. You may find it helpful to rake the mast forward for high wind conditions, but it won't have much effect when the boat is heeled. Watch how the gust coming across the pond heels the boat and shoves it sideways. Let's look at it one more time. On very rare occasion, perhaps 5% of the time I've sailed in high winds, I've found some sort of groove with the boat heeled over, about like you see it here, in which the boat moves fast and continues to claw its way upwind, doing just great. And if you find such a groove, by all means stay in it. The bad news is that 95% of the time, if the boat is heeled past about 45 degrees, it won't move fast at all, and in fact it may move sideways so badly that it loses all forward speed and therefore all rudder control. In any event, heeled like this, it won't have much rudder control, and basically it's terribly slow. So most of what we're going to be talking about is how to keep the boat from heeling quite so badly, and what do you do when it does heel. Often when a gust hits, it comes from a slightly different direction, so it's fairly common to need to use the rudder right away if the boat begins to heel to point a little bit more into the wind. Or perhaps I should say to allow the heeling of the boat and its natural tendency to point into the wind, to allow it to go a little further into the wind before you try to straighten it out. This is yet another instance of what I refer to as feeling for the wind. In a very real sense, though, your primary control in high winds is the sail control. Whenever you see that mast going past 45 degrees, ease out on the sails a little, maybe not far, but quickly, and play how far out the sails are. Play that stick almost the same way you play a rudder trying to track wind. As the boat begins to come more upright, tighten up on the sail. Every time it begins to heel over a little bit, slack it. Find a groove if you can and stay in it. Let's try it. Each time the boat heels, ease the sails a little and allow the boat to turn a little more into the wind. With time and practice, you'll get better at it. You'll have a better idea how much to do. As the boat comes up, pull the sails in as it heels further, let them out. Let it turn itself into the wind and then hold it back from turning and get to the mark and go around it. A word about sailing downwind in high winds. Victoria is difficult in high winds, and it will tend to turn violently or bury the nose. I wish I could tell you how to avoid this, but I can't. With practice, you get to where you can avoid maybe 1 time in 4 by the following technique. As you see water begin to spray out from the bow as though the boat is about to plane, waggle the rudder left and right quickly and try to slow it down just a little. Sometimes this will take care of the problem. Note that it is still important to keep the boat going dead downwind. Any tendency to turn off the wind and the boat will swap ends on you violently. Now we'll watch a short clip. Let's watch that clip another time or two, and this time we're paying not so much attention to the boat as we are to what we can see on the water. Notice that the wind often hits just a little bit ahead of the shadow on the water. And sometimes the wind is a little different. You don't always see it, but when you see it, there's nearly always something there, and you should be paying attention to what it is. Especially you should notice that it's nearly always the same this time as it was the last time you saw the cat's paws on the water. Frequently each new gust will be very similar to the last gust in terms of direction, sometimes even in speed, so pay attention and anticipate.